Welcome back, guys, to the Psalm 127 Life. And today we want to talk about an exciting topic, and that is how to maintain financial stability in your marriage. Now, one of the things that we found that really works for us is the Dave Ramsey's baby steps, right? The 7 baby steps in particular. And it's pretty much an outline of how to maintain financial stability, financial focus in your life. In step 3, he talks about having a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And we're going to hand over to Carrie to give us a little bit more insight.
Hi everyone. So your emergency fund is all up to you. So you would sit down and calculate all of your living expenses for a given month. And we're talking about basic living expenses like rent or mortgage, utilities, and phone bills. And after you've calculated the total, you would multiply it by 3 for 3 months or 6 for 6 months to determine the amount of money you would need to save for an emergency. Now, based on your working conditions, you might have a commission-based job where you can save a little bit more than 3 to 6 months. You can go to maybe 8 months or a year or even 2 years of emergency funds. And it's all up to you. And so it depends on what you are able to do.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what the process is like, right? And one of the things that we really found is growing up in our traditional churches, like no one spoke about, emergency funds or how to budget or anything like that. It's almost like, hey, we're going to trust God and everything will work out without having a plan. So Kerry will walk us through some biblical examples for persons who are more like, I'm referring to really Christian persons, who do not believe in planning.
Okay, I'm going to use 2 instances from the Bible. The first one I'm going to look at is from Genesis. I'm not going to read the scripture, but you can always do so in Genesis 41, where Joseph had instructed the Egyptians to save a portion of their grain when they were in 7 years of abundance, because God had warned Pharaoh in a dream that 7 years of famine was coming. And when the 7 years of famine came, they were able to use the food that they had stored up to supply them in those years of famine. That's one example. And then when we look at Proverbs 6, verses 6 to 8, we read of the ants. And it says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard." Yes, that's harsh. But go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. So it's already thinking ahead. The ants are thinking ahead, and they are gathering food while they can so that they will have food when they're not able to gather.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. And notice there that for Joseph and his context, that's 7 years worth of emergency funds, like
7 years.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Yeah. So
what, Roy? What constitutes an emergency?
Well, an emergency is not going to the restaurant, because your friends are going to the restaurant on a Sunday evening or whatever the case may be. An emergency is, you lost your job, a family member died, things like that, right? So it's really important things that we're talking about, not something that you want to, just suddenly decide that, hey, I want to get a new iPhone because the new one came out. So that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay. And when you have an emergency fund, of course, when emergencies come, you will have to spend it. So what happens, Roy, after you spend the money that's in your emergency fund?
So, once that emergency fund is depleted, whether it's 2 months or 3 months or the entire thing, ensure that the first priority is to save the entire thing. as soon as possible. So you'd pause investing, you'd pause, anything additional that you do outside of, just not having an emergency fund. So, the priority is to always ensure you have that emergency fund in place as soon as it is spent.
Yes. And we do recommend using a high yield savings account to save your emergency funds in, because if you're saving it in a regular bank account, then it won't be protected against inflation.
Yeah, and for us, like, we have our emergency funds in high yield savings account that is separate from our main spending account, because like sometimes something will come up and like, let me just draw it from the emergency funds. You don't want to have that temptation, so it's good to have it separate from your main spending account. And we can also attest to the fact that this really works, because when we came to this new location, it took us about 4 months, you'd say, 4 months to actually secure jobs. And because we had our emergency fund, like, it felt like
a vacation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like we're on vacation and we're just living, and enjoying just life, knowing full well that we can afford the next month and the next month and the next month and so on. So yeah, we know it works, and it's something that we can confidently share with others. That's pretty much it. So that's it, guys. We hope you like this topic, and we want to hear your thoughts below. See you in the next one.